Hi, welcome to Finding the Word. I'm Melanie Brown, and it has been several days, and you know that just means it's been hectic. But I'm very excited to be sitting back in this chair, very happy to be giving the Word again, and I am thankful to the Lord for His faithfulness. The word today is worship. I was thinking about worship in our family over the years, and way back when Oe, the oldest, was younger, worship was a big thing. We started our day with extensive worship. We had songs. I would be on the piano just playing it all out, teaching them new hymns and new worship songs. We would have activities and crafts. It was kind of almost like a mini vacation Bible school program every day. And it was a very important start to the day. I was evaluating the worship situation, and it has gotten sad. It has been pushed to the back burner over the years. And one of the things I think that created the ability to sit still was that I was often having babies. And when you would have a new baby, you're sitting still for a while. You get a reset. You're at home a little bit more, especially when we would have twins. And that stillness and that being at home and everything centering around that enabled it to be more extensive, enabled it to be more focused to the day. And I realized as we've gotten busier, as I've ran more, started doing contract work and a totally different career, that it just got to be less and less. So I'm evaluating that right now. I'm looking at getting things back on track in terms of the priority of deliberately having worship time that is set apart and taking true time out to give to the Lord first thing when we begin our days. So that led me to the word worship in the scriptures and to study worship. So we have quite a few verses that we're going to look into. And first and foremost, we're designed to worship. We're designed to glorify God, and we are instructed to do so. We'll start off looking at Psalm chapter 95, verses 6 and 7. Come, let us bow down in worship. Let us kneel before the Lord our Maker, for He is our God, and we are the people of His pasture, the flock under His care. Today, if only you would hear His voice. We also know in Matthew chapter 4, verse 8, that the devil took Jesus up to the peak of a very high mountain and showed him all the kingdoms of the world and their glory. This is during the time that Christ was in the wilderness. He said, I'm going to give it all to you if you will kneel down and worship me. And what did Christ say? Get out of here, Satan. Jesus told him the scriptures say that you must worship the Lord your God and serve only Him. So we know this is our instruction. And how do we worship? Let's take a look at Psalms 29, verse 2. And it says, give unto the Lord the glory due His name. Worship the Lord in the beauty of holiness. This is holiness being dedicated, hallowed, and consecrated. This is a sacred place, and that is how we are to worship the Lord. Also in Psalms 100, verse 4, it says to enter His gates with thanksgiving. Go into His courts with praise. Give thanks to Him and praise His name. We also have Psalms 100 on telling us how to worship. Shout with joy to the Lord, all the earth. Worship the Lord with gladness. Come before Him singing with joy. Acknowledge that the Lord is good. He made us and we are His. We are His people, the sheep of His pasture. Enter His gates with thanksgiving. Go into His courts with praise. Give thanks to Him and praise His name. And then why do we worship? And we are back in Psalms, which is not surprising because David did spend a lot of time worshiping the Lord. Psalms 95 verses 1 through 3 said, come, let us sing for joy to the Lord. Let us shout aloud to the rock of our salvation. Let us come before Him with thanksgiving and extol Him with music and song. For the Lord is the great God, the great King above all gods. Also, because we are chosen, 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 9 says, but you are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, God's special possession, that you may declare the praises of Him who called you out of darkness into His wonderful light. We had that scripture recently. Because of what He has done for us, because He has rescued us. This is Psalms chapter 40. I waited patiently for the Lord. He turned to me and heard my cry. He lifted me out of the slimy pit, out of the mud and mire. He set my feet on a rock and gave me a firm place to stand. He put a new song in my mouth, a hymn of praise to our God. Many will see and fear the Lord and put their trust in him. The last passage is John chapter 4. And this is about the woman at the well, one of our most beloved stories. And so Christ and the disciples were going through Samaria. They stopped in a village near the field that Jacob had given to his son Joseph. Jacob's well was there. And Jesus was tired. He had been on a long walk. He sat wearily beside the well, and it was about noon. So right away, there is a message that we get here. Christ was tired. It had been a long walk. No matter whether we are tired or what condition we're in, we can be weary. It doesn't stop the message of Christ being able to come through us. It doesn't stop being able to be used to spread the gospel and to give the message of Christ. So a Samaritan woman came to draw water. Jesus said, "Please give me a drink." Verse 8. He was alone at the time because his disciples had gone into the village to buy food. The woman was surprised. Jews refused to have anything to do with Samaritans. So she said to Jesus, "You are a Jew. I'm a Samaritan woman. Why are you asking me for a drink?" And Jesus replied, "If you only knew the gift God has for you and who you are speaking to, you would ask me, and I would give you living water." This is another stopping point. Do we know the gifts that God has for us? Do we know who we are speaking to when we are in prayer about these gifts? When we go to the Lord about the things that we are in need of? Do we know who we are speaking to? That is a word. "But sir, you don't have a rope or a bucket," she said, "and this well is very deep. Where would you get this living water?" And now she's questioning. She doesn't understand. A lot of times we don't understand. It's not going to always make sense to us right off. If we're just listening, if we're reading these things on a surface level, and we are not having the Spirit to help us to really truly understand what the Lord is saying, it's not going to make a lot of sense. In her mind, they're discussing Jacob's well and the water that needs to be drawn up. She's saying, "You don't have a bucket. You don't have a rope. How are you going to give me this particular living water that you're talking about?" She's literally questioning the Lord at this point. Like, do you think you're greater than Jacob? He left this well. How can you give water that's better than this water that he left for his sons and animals to enjoy? Jesus replied, "Anyone who drinks this water will soon be thirsty again." And we know that any of the things that we are partaking of and any of the things that we get here on earth is not going to be satisfying. He's not talking about feeding our body. He's not talking about drinking the water that we need for our earthly vessels. He is talking about living water. So after he let her know about her husbands and the fact that she had 5 and the one she was living with now was not her husband, she knew that he spoke the truth. So in verse 19, she said, "Sir, you must be a prophet. So tell me, why is it that you Jews insist that Jerusalem is the only place of worship, while we Samaritans claim it here, where our ancestors worshipped?" Jesus replied, "Believe me, dear woman, the time is coming when it will no longer matter whether you worship the Father on this mountain or in Jerusalem. You Samaritans know very little about the one you worship, while we Jews know all about him, for salvation comes through the Jews. But the time is coming, indeed it is here now, when true worshipers will worship the Father in spirit and in truth. The Father is looking for those who will worship him that way." And our final scripture here in verse 24, "For God is spirit. So those who worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth." And when looking up the definition of this truth, this is according to truth. It is in reality. It's in fact. This is that candor of mind, which is free from pretense, simulation, falsehood, and free from deceit. So we are to worship the Lord in spirit and in truth. So we know that we are designed to worship God. We know that we are to enter his gates with thanksgiving, enter his courts with praise, that he is worthy. He is our protector. He is our great King. We are chosen. He deserves this praise. He has rescued us. And we are to worship him in the beauty of holiness, and we are to worship him in spirit and in truth. Worship is fundamentally about loving God fully from the heart with all of our being. It is not just about outward actions. This is about us worshiping Him with our full lives in all the ways that we can do so. And so the last week I have spent in really evaluating our time, how we're spending it, really being careful to start our day in worship to the Lord, true worship to the Lord. Take the time out, be deliberate about it, so that He is not getting the crumbs, but He is getting our true and full worship. He deserves it. Don't forget to find the word. I will see you soon.